If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000. The Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs starts now.
This is part 2 of this discussion about kids and credit. I had promised last week to give you an exercise that you can do with kids if you've got, little kids or nieces or nephews or grandkids or whatever you have, whatever your situation is, doesn't matter. My issue here is that, we can teach kids about math and science and history and health and, trades, all these things. Listen, all of them important. But we don't teach them anything about financial literacy, really. How credit works. Why is that? I'm biased, obviously. It's the industry that I'm in. But so much of what happens in our lives outside of school, grammar school, high school, college, graduate school, whatever, is tied to our credit. That's why I say it's like your adult report card. It's how people will gauge you. It's important. Jobs, insurance, what we drive, where we live, all these things tie out to credit. So I said, I pontificated about this topic in last week, but I also said, I want to give you an exercise that you can do with your kids to explain the value of credit and let them work with credit. Kids, as we know, are always on the hunt for something. I have this friend of mine, old guy, kind of like me, but he's got a young son, and his son, like so many kids, is, all about the video games and gaming things, the virtual reality stuff, the chair, the system, whatever it is. You go into his room and it's like, Star Trek in there. Crazy. Get my ass kicked a lot in video games there. Whatever it is. And he pays his son an allowance. This is a good kid. He pays his son an allowance every week, and his son works his little tail off for it. And he does save, which is good. He understands the value of money. His father's been very good with money, done well. And, we were having this discussion about, kids and credit and why aren't we doing this in schools and, what can we do, right? And what I suggested to him was that he maybe do an exercise with his son to teach him about credit, to actually get him engaged. And how do you get them engaged? How do you get kids engaged? How do you do that? Well, you extend them credit, right? You let him buy something that he doesn't have enough of the legal tender to go out and get on his own. You let him buy something and you finance it. So he found something that he wanted, obviously a game and some sort of accessory. Games are, $70 or $80, and the accessory, whatever it is. So the dad gave him a credit line of $150. Or actually, it wasn't a credit line. I said set a credit limit, $150. And you can bet his son spent every dime of that. But before going to the store, he explained to his son that the $150 was going to be broken up into 12 equal payments. And his son would pay interest on that money that he's borrowing. Because money doesn't come for free. Charged him 5% interest. I thought that was fair. So $150 at 5% interest, split equally over 12 payments, $12.84 a month. My girl's got a degree in biomathematics. I don't know this for sure on this example, but I can tell you that if I gave her that math with the interest and all that stuff, she would come up with $12.84. A math genius. I, however, need the calculator for that. The other thing that I thought was important is that his son should come to him with the payment each month on a certain date. So, his son gets his allowance every Friday, as a lot of kids do. So set a random date, middle of the week, whatever, the 15th of the month. Maybe, sometimes it's on a Friday, maybe it's not. Don't just hold the money out of the allowance. Keep paying him, but pick a day that it's due. And by the way, if he's late, assess him a late fee. Charge him $1 or something that you agree on. So this exercise, it worked. And his kid continues to be extended credit, which is good. You know, he blabs about this story all the time. Says, I got the only 12-year-old with an 800 credit score. Of course, he assigned the credit score to his kid, but you know what I'm saying.
You've been listening to the Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs. If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000.